Welcome back. If you're new here, Quillen is my name. It's a pleasure to meet you, good sir or madam. Here it is. I'm going to try and say less. That's my goal for today. If you're wondering what the cardboard boxes are in the background there, I got a huge green screen for my 20 subscriber special, which I definitely need. So that was certainly a wise investment. I'm thinking about collecting all the stupid crap I bought on Amazon into a pile, just to, just for posterity. So this video is about what it means to be a mystic, because a lot of people are mystified by this expression. And I actually caught myself saying that I was a mystic the other day. That was a very peculiar moment because I'd never really self-identified as a mystic. And I said to my friend, yeah, well, I'm a mystic, so blah, 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 blah. And I don't really think she knew exactly what I meant. Maybe when I said it, I sort of did. But you hear this term mystic come up a lot in especially religious discourse. You'll hear about Christian mysticism, Islamic mysticism, also known as Sufism. And I know what it means to me now. I've thought about it and I know why I identify as a mystic. So I think sharing this insight for people who are not mystics might actually help you to get your head around this idea. But of course, this is only a personal revelation. It's only a personal definition. And actually, this is always the case with spiritual and denominational identifying markers, like words like mystic or even Christian or atheist. You can pretend that you mean the same thing that everyone else means when you use those words, and you can even draft a little contract that says, we all believe this thing, right? Like the Nicene Creed or whatever. But ultimately, it's a personal experience. Because it's about your feelings about yourself and the world. So ultimately, those feelings will always be deeply personal. So this is what being a mystic means to me. Being a mystic to me means that I have a profound sense of having a personal relationship with the universe. Now, that doesn't necessitate a belief in God, but it tends to lead to people believing in God who are mystics because they have a strong sense that the universe has a personality and that they are interacting with the universe on a day-to-day basis as a fellow personality. So that's my feeling. That's what I mean when I say that I'm a mystic. And now I'll try to go into why that can be frustrating and what that kind of means in a day in the life of a mystic. So for a mystic, or for me, who identifies as a mystic, I perceive that the universe or God is always playing some kind of game with me. So I have a sense that the way that things play out, there's a sense of humor going on. And there's an element of what David Whyte calls the conversational nature of reality, which is to say, I decide what I think I want, and then I go out and I try and get it. And sometimes I get it. And sometimes I get it, it doesn't make me happy. And other times I don't get it. And then there's almost this like negotiation or this playful thing that's going on. And this is really happening in perpetuity, okay? So I have a strong sense that my life has a genuine meaning and purpose and almost overall narrative structure to it. And this is a temperamental thing I've noticed, which is just not temperamental. That implies it comes and goes. It's a quality or an attribute of my temperament. It's something that not everyone has. Some people I've noticed have a temperament which precludes this perception. So they do not view the universe as having a personality. They're completely and almost violently opposed to that view. Okay? But actually almost everyone who doesn't have this mystical experience of the world will tend to be a little bit flummoxed by your attitude. And here's why, okay? It stops you from being able to agree with dogmatists, okay? So let's say I'm talking to someone who also believes in God, but they are, for example, a biblical literalist. So they believe that God is exactly the way that God is laid out in the Bible, and he doesn't have any other qualities than that. Or you don't need any more than that to understand the qualities of God. Well, I personally, when I read the Bible, I don't see much of a sense of humor coming through there. Occasionally there is. So I can see there being qualities of God in the Bible, but it's not the whole picture to me. So I can't agree with someone who has a dogmatic view of God. And again, I would give this analogy that it's a little bit like if I had a roommate who I lived with, and let's say they were a very famous person, and someone had written a biography about them. And the person let's say I was talking to the person who'd written this biography, and they said, yeah, your roommate famously does not have a sense of humor at all. They really do not have any sense of humor whatsoever. And I say, oh really? Because I think they're pretty funny. I talk to them all the time, not literally, obviously. And every time I speak with them, every time I interact with them, they're kind of hilarious. And the person who's written the biography would say, well, you're wrong about that. You're incorrect. Like, you're mistaken. You're reading into something that isn't there, because I know all about this roommate, and that's not true. So you can see this is jarring, right? Because I nominally do believe in God, but these people take issue with the kind of God that I believe in implicitly by just saying, well, what I mean when I say God is the idea that the universe seems to have this kind of inscrutable personality that we're always playing with as we go through life. Another kind of person who my feeling really is incompatible with are sort of fundamental atheists. Because in the roommate analogy, then it's kind of even worse, because I say, yeah, I was hanging out with my roommate yesterday. He's kind of a crazy guy. And they would say, no, your roommate doesn't exist. And I would say, well, I think he does exist. And they go, no, he doesn't exist. And the fact that you think that he does exist means you need to get your head checked. Like, something's wrong with you, or you're tripping, right? You're like huffing copium, thinking that your friend exists, or your roommate, right? And so it's a little bit of a trip, to be honest. And I think I've mentioned this in another video, but Blaise Pascal pointed this out, that the universe does have this quality wherein you can live your whole life believing or not believing that it has a personality. There's no definitive indication either way. But I do think that either way as well, a confirmation bias comes in. If you think the universe is meaningless, then you see meaninglessness everywhere. And if you think that the universe and your life is meaningful, then you start to see that everywhere. But as a mystic, I kind of feel like I get points for giving God his or her due, because just like if someone was, let's say someone was telling a joke and you could appreciate their humor and you got a laugh out of it, right? Well, they would sort of make a mental note of that. They would go, okay, this person knows funny when they see it, right? I like it. I like making people laugh. I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell jokes to this person again. And the opposite is obviously also true. If you're putting all your best material into someone's skull and they're just going, well, or that they say that's random. You know what I mean? You ever had that where someone says that's random? Like they're sort of putting down the spontaneous quality of what you've just put in front of them, not acknowledging that they're actually just showing themselves up to be, how could I put it generously, a plonker. And I think that's true of the cosmic, I didn't say the cosmic joke, but the trip that you're on in life. I think that if you're unconscious in that way, where you're not really switched on to your life as a journey, as a narrative, as maybe a drama is one way to put it, but it's only one way to put it. I think that you do pay a price for that. It's sort of like you get put on a track where your life becomes about other stuff than getting to know God, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, I think people have a temperament. Some people just do not want or need that in their life, and that is fine. But I just wanted to share that. If you're not a mystic, I just want to say that's okay. And if you have a different perspective on what it means to be a mystic, that's also fine. And I invite you to leave that in the comments and, let me know what's your experience of God. But I just have to warn you, if the line that you're going to go with is you're wrong because blah, 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 that only tells me you've missed the point of the video. Okay, so I really do send you my love once again. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. All right, farewell.